Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this in the world. I hope you guys are doing okay. So today we're going to be covering a couple of topics that I wanted to discuss regarding Tekken. So to start with, so that you guys are not confused, what you're actually looking at in the background here is a stream that I did last night with my community. We had over 100 people in the stream at one point. It was really cool, and we had loads and loads of people playing, loads of high level players, loads of beginners, loads of different people ranging from different skill sets. And one of the rules of the matches, as you can see in the background here, just so you're not confused, is that we were using no heat. The stipulation was if you wanted to play on stream today, you burn your heat as soon as the match starts, and we give Tekken 8 a go and see what it's like without heat. This was suggested to me by one of the members of the community that goes by the name C Bims, a very good Horang player, also a good last player, and he messaged me and said, why don't we do a stream without heat? And when he said it initially, I was like, I don't know how people are going to take this, but I thought I'd give it a try. You know, it's not serious, it's not like any money was on the line. So the stipulation was as soon as the match starts, burn your heat. Do it in the most safe way possible. We had a couple of hiccups where people were hitting each other, but for the most part it was okay. We'd burn about maybe 5 to 8 seconds of the match, and then they'd get straight into it. And I've got to say, guys, before we get into the actual topics of what I want to discuss today, Tekken 8's heat system is nothing like the drive system in Street Fighter 6. The drive system in Street Fighter 6 just has to exist in the game. It has to be there. It's so intertwined with everything else and how the whole game works that if you remove the drive system, you're not playing Street Fighter 6 anymore. And that's what I thought might happen with Tekken 8, but we turned it on, we burnt the heat, and I'm happy to say, and it's kind of what I predicted and what I think a lot of people have been saying in the comment section, it was a lot more fun. It felt like we were playing Tekken again. You'd be surprised at how much the characters change without heat, how much more you feel less threatened by things without heat. Not to the point where the moves are unviable, everything still works, it's just not overwhelming. It doesn't feel stupid. The chip damage no longer feels absurd. The recoverable health no longer feels absurd. The entire game changed for us. We were having so much fun on it, and I honestly thought that it was going to be poorly received. I thought, oh, you know, I've said all these things about heat, I've said remove heat, and then we actually do it and the game's going to suck without it. I'm happy to report that this game is astronomically more fun without heat. There were so many people in the stream watching yesterday, and there were so many people playing, and not a single person said, yeah, put heat back on. Not one, and I'm not even lying about that. You can ask anybody that was watching, anybody that was playing. Nobody wants to play with heat after this. We had such a good time. Like I said, the other mechanics in the game that have been added in, like recoverable health, the armored moves, chip damage, none of it became a problem anymore, because the follow-ups into everything weren't so bad. Chip damage wasn't so overwhelming. Heat really does take over the entire game. So in case any of you were confused at what you're looking at in the background, that's just a quick explanation there. I will be doing those going forward on my streams. It won't be all the time. You know, if we're doing proper serious tournaments and people want to do a heat tournament, then of course they can use the mechanic. But I thought it'd be very cool to show that heat is not a needed mechanic in this game. You can actually have a lot of fun with this game. And I do think it's also very interesting that whenever heat runs out in tournament and commentators are talking about the game, they're like, right, heat's out of the way, now we can get some honest Tekken. And I think that's a very telling thing to say. Just wanted to show you guys that and let you guys know that everybody had a good time. There was not a single complaint about this, and I actually think Tekken 8 is better without heat, and this to me proves it. Now, I'm not saying they can't tweak the system, I'm not saying there's things they can't do to make it better, make it more enjoyable. Of course there is, but in its current form, this is a more enjoyable way for me to play Tekken. Obviously I'm not going to do this in ranked, otherwise I'm going to get absolutely destroyed, because heat is a Super Saiyan mechanic essentially. But when I'm having fun with you guys in the stream, this is probably how we will do it for a lot of them. And I'll probably hold a tournament like this. It's just going to be raw Tekken, no heat. Some people are saying no rage arts. Maybe we can do that one day. I don't have as much of a problem with rage arts, to be honest with you. They don't do a massive amount of damage unless you're about to lose the match, so it's not a big deal. Anyways guys, just going to jump off that and jump into the topics now. They're not too long topics. I just wanted to cover them very briefly and give my thoughts. The first one is regarding JDCR. Everybody has seen what has happened to JDCR at this point. I think what happened to him was an absolute travesty.
Yeah, that's gonna catch him out of the air.
You're in the air.
Not dead, but this situation is not looking good for AK. Heat dash.
Andrew at the wall. Oh no! Oh no!
It says player 2. I'm not sure who that was.
He was going to win that match. There's almost no doubt in my mind that he was going to win. If you go and look at what the position was like, where AK was, As far as I'm aware, Dragunov can sort of like, not wave dash, but sway into you and then go for his quarter circle 4, which hits grounded opponents and does a sizable amount of damage. I believe looking at this clip, that's what he could have done there to secure it. I think the tournament organizers should have looked at the situation and said, you know what, I don't think AK was going to make out of that alive. If you wanted to go a step further and think that's not a good enough reason and we need to follow the rules, what you also could have done is you could have gone into the replay system. You could have gotten that exact situation. You don't have to replicate it. You can get that exact situation and then just play on for 5 more seconds and see if AK could have escaped that situation. From what I can see and the distance between Dragunov and Shaheen, it did not look like AK was going to be able to escape that. Now, it's not AK's fault. I saw some people saying that this was him. He sabotaged the tournament. I don't think he would do that, especially after a very, very big win over Arslan Ash at Combo Breaker. That would be ridiculous. It would ruin his tournament standings and his reputation going forward if he was found out to be doing that, and the truth always comes out. So I really hope that's not the case. I highly doubt it. I'd almost lean on the side of complete certainty that he did not do that. I saw a lot of accusations regarding that. I would say that this was completely the fault of the tournament organizers. I think JDCR should have been compensated in some way. I hope they compensate them in some way. It is the tournament organizers' responsibility to make sure that these people disconnect their controllers. We all know in this day and age that Bluetooth can be a problem in tournaments. We've seen it happen before. Now, the player could have put his controller in the bag. Anything could have happened. They could have been sitting with their controller and accidentally hitting buttons and forgotten. I don't know. But the point here is that JDCR got screwed over. I don't know if there was compensation for him. I don't know what they did to accommodate him. Personally, if I was the tournament organizers, I would have done something like paid for his hotel or paid for something to make it feel like he didn't waste his time. Because imagine that happening to you in a tournament and you are about to eliminate the Combo Breaker champion. That is going to send you riding high, and beating AK is no easy feat. He's obviously proven himself to be very powerful. He's got a very strong Shaheen, so your confidence levels are going to be through the roof. Now imagine what's going to happen to you the minute that happens to you. What happened to JDCR? You're going to be deflated. And he went on to lose the round and he finished 9th place. He didn't even get to make top 8. He could have won the tournament. His tournament road could have looked completely different to what it came out to be in reality. So the tournament organizers absolutely dropped the ball with this. I think that they should be reprimanded in some way, not in a harsh way, because mistakes happen. I'm not saying people should lose their jobs, but there should definitely be some disciplinary action taken against the person that did not do their job properly. Or if the rules weren't enforced altogether, or if there wasn't someone on hand to deal with this, then they need to fix up, because that's unacceptable. But either way, JDCR is obviously a Korean man, I believe. Hope I'm not getting that wrong. And he's flown over from Korea or Asia, wherever he's from. His time has basically been wasted. So I think the tournament organizers should compensate him. And I think if you're going to run a tournament, you shouldn't be so incompetent as to not check these things. These things need to be checked and double checked, because these guys are playing for a lot of money and they're coming from regions of the world where it's not cheap to fly over here. It's not cheap to fly to the US. It's not cheap to fly to different parts of Europe. So that's my 2 cents in it. I saw a lot of people again accusing players of doing this, that this was some sort of plan to get him off because AK was going to get eliminated. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's conspiratorial talk, and we don't really need to go down that road and start pointing the finger at people. It was a mistake. It probably was an honest mistake, but it's honestly incompetence if I'm being completely 100% about it. Next topic that I wanted to talk about very briefly was regarding Leffen. So I had some people asking me about this situation with Leffen. Obviously, we've seen Button Check covering it. We've seen Leffen's comments on Twitter, and essentially him looking for a redemption arc, or looking for people to let bygones be bygones, or for people to stop hating on him altogether. And I've been asked for my opinion on this, and I've kind of avoided it. So I'm going to give a little brief statement on it, on what I think about it. Now, I've been following Smash for a very long time, just because the Smash scene has always interested me. I would never get involved with their scene again, and I don't mean this in an offensive way to anybody that's watching. It's just how I feel. But the Smash scene to me is nuclear. They are as radioactive can get. I mean, if you guys think that drama exists in the conventional FGC and you're not aware of Smash, then you ain't seen anything yet. It's a whole other level over there, and I would just never get involved in the scene. But it is very entertaining to watch, and my brother, who some of you may know in the Smash scene, goes by the name Lord Rico, is a Luigi player. It's quite well known in the UK. I follow the Smash scene mostly because I like to keep up to date with what's going on. He plays Smash, I play it for fun in my spare time, so I keep up to date with what's going on. And the Smash lore and the things that have gone on in the Smash community, you guys are probably aware of, are so over the top, bombastic, just insane. Obviously we all knew about the 2020 situation when a lot of Smash players were getting outed for doing things with children, for touching people inappropriately, for putting things on TV screens in front of people when they shouldn't be, all sorts of things. Now I'm not going to drop any names because there's been so many lawsuits following that and so many cases that have gone to court that I've kind of lost track of who's in the right and who's in the wrong, so I'm not going to touch that. But amidst all of that, there's an individual called Leffen, and for as long as I have been aware of fighting games, or aware of Smash Bros, sorry, Leffen's name has always been attached to controversy, and he put out this tweet, and the tweet said, "I'm not a perfect person, but it's utterly insane to realize that most of the people who send harassment, death threats and hate to me every day is because I stood up for what's right, and a bunch of sex offenders and idiots think slandering me will get them either clout or unbanned. I'm fucking tired of dealing with this shit every day. I'm human and I fuck up, maybe more than most, but I try my arse off to be a good person. All I get is 200 new people every day that hate me for things I didn't even do, and I just gotta sit and take it because even this is going to be used against me. If I died in a car crash, would that be used for content too? How many years until it stops? Will it ever?" Now since then he's gone on to make several tweets because a very popular YouTuber called Technicals made a documentary style video on him. Now I've been following Technicals channel for years now. I don't even know how long. I was following Technicals well before he hit 30,000 subscribers. I've always found his videos very interesting and very informative, but even without Technicals videos, Leffen has kind of been a known scumbag in the community, and he's been a known scumbag for loads of different reasons in loads of different communities, including the Tekken community. A lot of people in the Tekken scene don't like Leffen. He made a lot of like misinformed takes on Tekken, which is fine because it's just a video game, but it's the way Leffen goes about putting across his takes that really rubs people the wrong way. And when you've got people from every single scene saying the same thing about you, using the fact that there are Smash Brothers sex offenders, which there are, to be fair to him, does not excuse the bad behavior of Leffen over the years. Now I don't have a personal beef with Leffen. I've only ever watched what he's been doing on the sidelines, but he can't be playing the victim now after everything he's been saying about people and all the things that have happened with Hungrybox and all the things that have happened with Mewtwo King and all the things that have happened with all sorts of Smash players. It's a bit late for that in my opinion. But obviously Technicals made the video about him. The video is about an hour long. I'd encourage people to go and watch it if they want to get the full scope of what I'm talking about here. I don't want to use Technicals clips because it's honestly a really good documentary, really well edited and definitely worth watching. But Leffen tweeted out saying, "Now the new season of Leffen hit pieces is so funny, like making a 1 hour 30-minute video called The Victims of Leffen and including when I ratioed an AXL player on Twitter for lagging and then lying about it is so fucking hilarious. What will you guys come up with next? It is sad how truly shameless the clout chasing goes, literally using people who are suicidal, not me, for a quick AdSense buck, but at this point I'm just so numb to it. What's another 10 years of videos of lies and harassment at this point? I've been through it many times." Now I'll be honest with you, there's no beef with me and Leffen. Obviously we've never spoken before, he's not even aware of my existence, but I don't like the way Leffen behaves and I don't like people that play the victim. Leffen has been doing things of the unsavory kind for many years now and rubbing multiple people the wrong way and then acting like a victim. And no matter what Leffen does, he seems to have people defending him. I don't know how he has become this like godlike figure in the Smash Bros community, but it certainly seems like people are turning on him now. But he definitely has his supporters and people there that are going to ride for him no matter what. I don't feel sorry for him that he's getting this sort of stuff go his way. I don't think he deserves death threats. I don't think anybody deserves that. But in terms of people not forgiving him, that's up to them. That's subjective. There's no way that anyone can turn around and say that they deserve forgiveness. That is up to the people to give it to you. If you put your foot in your mouth, then you just got to lie in your bed. It's completely up to you how you want to portray yourself online. Leffen portrayed himself as a villain online, and with Leffen's sort of villainous behavior, it wasn't jokey like we do in my streams where everyone knows it's just a bit of banter. We've got hills and faces and whatever. Sometimes I'll play the hill. With Leffen, it came across as very vicious. It came across like he genuinely hated people and he genuinely wanted to bury people. Like I said, watch Technicals documentary. I'll link it in the description below. It's really informative. But there's been loads of situations where Leffen has tried to completely bury some people, and it just seems like an endless stream of nonsense with this guy. And when everybody from every community has a problem with you, you've got to look inward forwards and stop playing the victim. Now, I don't know if there'll ever be a redemption arc for this guy. I don't really care, to be honest with you. If people want to forgive him, they can. I don't have anything to forgive him for. I'm just talking from somebody that is on the outside looking in. Watching Leffen through the years, I am not surprised why people's responses to him are so vicious. But that being said, I don't think he deserves death threats. I think death threats, threatening human life, is a little bit too far. This is just a video game at the end of the day. I understand the things that Leffen has done have come away from the video games and have affected people in their real life, but that still doesn't mean that you should send him death threats. And again, I don't think Leffen using the fact that there are sex offenders in his community as a ways to divert what he's done is a good tactic. Yes, there are sex offenders in the Smash community. There are plenty of them, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean you can just walk around and be a scumbag, and because your level of scumbaggery is not as bad as theirs, that it's not going to get called out. So I didn't want to make a whole video on Leffen because honestly Technicals did a good enough job, and there's plenty of videos covering this guy. It is what it is. If you want to be a truly villainous, venomous character in the FGC, and I'm not talking like we do for shits and giggles, I'm talking you're really going at people and you're really going after them, then this is what you're going to get. And then the last topic I wanted to talk about is a little bit more lighthearted than the Leffen one. I did want to cover it really quickly because I saw the MainMan upload this video about rank inflation, and I watched it. It's about an 8-minute video, and he's talking about how Tekken 8 ranking is harder than Tekken 7, and he gives a couple of pointers and he gives a couple of reasons as to why. And he says that he had a much easier time getting several characters to Tekken God or God of Destruction or whatever the equivalent rank was in Tekken 7 than he has in Tekken 8. He's saying that it's much more difficult to do it in Tekken 8.
A lot of people are really struggling. So this whole thing saying like Emperor Fujin is the new Emperor, absolutely not. And anyone I see online who has reached, say Tekken King, to me it's the equivalent of like Tekken God Prime in Tekken 7. The level is just that high. It's that high. And again, most of those guys were Tekken God Prime.
And I was watching this video and I was trying to digest the information and understand it. And I just want to make something very clear here. The MainMan is probably my favorite Tekken YouTuber. I've been watching MainMan before he even showed his face on YouTube. This is back when he was doing Kazuya combo videos. So this is not like a hate piece on MainMan. I like MainMan's videos. I appreciate what he does. I actually met him in real life a long time ago at Lions Den. He probably doesn't remember because we were much younger. But this is not any beef against MainMan. It's just I don't really understand the thought process here. Almost everybody that I've spoken to, almost unanimously agrees that it's much easier to rank up in Tekken 8. And there's a lot of people at higher ranks in Tekken 8 that shouldn't be there because the game has become astronomically easier, and the heat system is a crutch for people that can't play conventional Tekken. And I don't mean that as a shot, it is what it is. I mean, it's been a crutch for me as well. I scratched and I clawed to get to Tekken God in Tekken 7, and I did that by the end of Tekken 7's lifespan. I'm already at Tekken Emperor. I've been demoted, I think, to Tekken King by the time you guys are watching this, but before I recorded this, I was one fight away from becoming Tekken God. The game has been out for 5 months. I couldn't have dreamt of doing that in Tekken 7, and this is a sentiment that is shared amongst many people, so I'm very confused as to why the MainMan thinks that Tekken 7 was easier. Tekken 7 overall is a harder game to play, and if you go further back and you look at how rankings worked in previous Tekken games, I think people have shared that sentiment every time a new game comes out. I had an easier time getting to Tekken God in Tekken 7 than I did get into the equivalent rank in Tekken 6. As a matter of fact, in Tekken 6 I didn't even get close. The same is true for Tekken Tag 2, a game that I thought I was even better at. It was much harder for me. I remember struggling to get out of the red ranks in Tekken Tag 2. The skill has definitely decreased in Tekken, and so I'm very confused as to why MainMan thinks that it's much easier to do it in Tekken 7 than Tekken 8. Tekken 8 is much easier, but I want to know from you guys because this is very perplexing to me. I thought the general consensus on Tekken was that everybody was having an easier time getting to Tekken Emperor rank. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't even practiced on Tekken 8. I haven't practiced on this game because my main characters are not in the game, and so I have no drive to really relearn Feng Wei to the level that I should be relearning him, because I dropped him in Tekken 7 for Marduk and later on Fakuram, which are the two characters that are on their way. So I have no drive to practice, and with no practice I'm almost at Tekken God. That can't be right. And even with Paul Phoenix, a character that I don't really use but I was using him in the demo, I managed to get Paul Phoenix up to Fujin. And so in his video he says that if you're at Fujin or above, you are very good, and I completely disagree. There are so many bad players that are at Fujin. There are so many players that never never would have even been able to see Fujin in Tekken 7's entire lifespan. Now I know I'm not as knowledgeable in Tekken as the main man. I know I haven't been playing it to the level that he's been playing it for as many years as he has. I think we both played Tekken 1, we both started around the same time. I think he's just a little bit older than me. I'm not entirely sure how old he is. He looks very young, but we both started on Tekken 1, right? But he's a much better player than me. He's been doing Tekken full time, so I'm not acting like I'm the be all and end all, but this is a very confusing notion to me. Everybody that I've spoken to has said this is the easiest Tekken to get into, it's the easiest to rank up on. It might be one of the more frustrating ones, but I'd like to know what you guys think, because I completely disagree with MainMan here. I feel like a fraud at Tekken Emperor with my Feng Wei. I'll be honest with you guys, I feel like a fraud every time I get right close to Tekken God. Imagine I'm 2 ranks away from becoming God of Destruction essentially. I couldn't have even dreamed of that in Tekken 7, Tekken 6, Tekken Tag 2. So he thinks it's astronomically harder in Tekken 8, I think it's astronomically easier. We've both had different experiences. I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? Have you had an easier time ranking up in Tekken 8, or do you think Tekken 7 was easier to rank up in? Anyways guys, thanks for watching the video, take care and peace.